Why did we choose ACS Egham for our child? 5 reasons. It was the right qualification for our child. IB is a really good fit. It's taught exceptionally well at ACS Egham. The academic results that the school achieves are fantastic. The school produces nice children. I've met some of the higher grade children, and they are uniformly friendly, happy, engaged, confident, but without seeming arrogant. We really like that. The school lets children mix with people from different cultures, different perspectives, and in an unsettled world that seems a very important, very beneficial thing to have. And finally, it's a beautiful campus. It's big enough to have good facilities, to not feel claustrophobic, but it's not so big that it loses that homely feel, and it's just such a nice feeling on campus. Impressions of the PYP. My son was only moved across from a British preparatory school at the end of year 5, so he was only in the PYP system for a year, but wow, I mean, it was quite a year. The final year of PYP is dominated by a thing called the PYP exhibition, which is basically an 8-week project where the children pick a topic, something they're interested in, they go away and they spend the 8 weeks researching it. They get guidance and coaching from the school staff, but at the end of the 8 weeks they have to do a presentation to the rest of the school, the staff, the parents. It's a really great event. Everyone comes in, each child has got a stand, they've got all their material laid out, and they stand there and they present their findings. And we came in for that exhibition, and every single stall you walked around thinking, wow, I didn't know that, it's really interesting. And then you look at the next stall and it's like, I didn't know that either. Every child had found some really unique, interesting piece of information, and it's like, okay, that really made me think. So impressions of PYP, really good. PYPX in particular, really good. What's particularly nice is the impact it's had on my child. So over the summer, after finishing PYP, he did an art course at London University, like a summer programme. And the idea was that they made up a pretend company, and then they had to do the branding for that company. They had to come up with a logo, all sorts of promotional material linked to their pretend company. And at the end of the week, they would present what they'd done to the rest of the parents, the rest of the students. I walked in on the last day, and it was like PYPX again. My son had set up his little stall. He'd got his market research. He'd got all this different information that he'd laid out. Yeah, okay, his art wasn't as good as some of the children, but the lecturer came over and said, where did he learn to do this? This is like some of my undergraduates wouldn't have attacked that problem in such a mature way. And it's like, well, there's the PYP difference. This is the IB way of how to approach a problem, and that was really good. I wasn't expecting to see that after a year, but he'd really taken home that message, so it's fantastic. ACS Egham obviously uses International Baccalaureate, which is very different from the GCSE and A-level pathway that me and my wife studied. Before we committed to coming to ACS Egham, we spent a lot of time investigating what those differences are. And there's a lot of material out there that explains it if people are interested. But fundamentally, it's a much broader syllabus. So rather than picking 3 or 4 subjects and studying those in real depth, the benefit of IB is that you study a much wider range of subjects. That's useful. If you're a top scientist, you still need English to be able to communicate your results. Or if you're a musician, you might still need maths skills to handle your accounts. So that breadth that IB offers is really useful for most people. There's also the difference that GCSEs and A-levels tend to be teacher-driven, in that the teacher will stand at the front and they'll provide the children with questions and materials and examples, and the children will work through that work. Whereas IB tends to be the other way around. It's much more led by the student, and it seems to be that the teacher will say, right, this is the subject that you need to learn. you go figure it out, and I'm here if you need help. And that seems to work really well for children who like to figure things out for themselves, like my son. It's a really good fit for him. And it seems to actually result in the children understanding things better, because rather than just being spoon-fed the material, they've actually had to work out the connections, how it links to things they already know. It's really good. It seems a very effective system. And certainly when you finally make it to the end of the system and you come away with your IB diploma, that seems to be your passport to pretty much any other further education opportunity pretty much anywhere in the world. So it's a really good passport to whatever you want to do next. The world is changing, and I think ACS Egham does a really good job of preparing children for an uncertain future. Part of it is just the fact that ACS Egham uses the IB system. So there's the old story of you give a person a fish and that feeds them for a day. You teach them how to fish and it feeds them for life. IB is kind of like that, in that whereas with GCSEs and A-levels you get taught lots of facts, IB teaches you the same facts, but it also teaches you how to learn and how to react when you're faced with an unfamiliar problem. So given that, if you've gone through that IB system and you come out and technology moves on or politics moves on and you're in a different situation, the tools and techniques that IB will have taught you future-proofs you against those problems. So that's a really good thing, a really good benefit that ACS provides. But the other thing is just your child will be interacting with people from all over the world, people with different perspectives, different cultures, and having that cultural understanding in this unsettled world is really good. It just makes you more open-minded, more ready to deal with change.